Hey guys, I'm back for a new video. Now this is a part 2 to my favorite horror remakes video because after I did that I realized there's been a few remakes I forgot. So let's get started on these ones. One of them I chose is The Ring, a remake to a Japanese movie called Ringu. Now, at first I didn't think I was going to like this, but surprisingly I actually did like this. Like, it was definitely a very atmospheric horror movie. It wasn't a blood and gore horror movie because this was PG-13. And I know there's a lot of people who hate PG-13 horror movies. I myself am not a fan of PG-13 horror movies, but this was a PG-13 horror movie done right. This was done right. It's very atmospheric, had a very dark tone, a good performance by Naomi Watts as well. So this was really good. Check it out. Another one, it's another remake to a Japanese horror movie. It's The Grudge. This was also like, just like The Ring, how it was like, had like very dark tone, very atmospheric, and also starred Sarah Michelle Gellar, who I watched as Buffy on the TV show Buffy the Vampire Slayer when I was a kid. It was a pretty good performance by her. It's definitely very suspenseful, well, very dark. Definitely a pretty good ghost story too, because that's what this was, a ghost story. So, this was really good, check it out. Another one, this is a remake I liked more than the original, and it's the remake of Toolbox Murders. I thought this, like I just said, this was better than the original. Not saying the original was bad, the original was still good, but I thought this one was better because it had better death scenes. Like, the death scenes in the original were just a little cheesy because they weren't shown, like, but it was still good, don't get me wrong, it was still good. But I liked the death scenes in this with all the things like the hammer and the buzzsaw, the nail gun, and it was also directed by Tobe Hooper, who directed movies like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Eaten Alive, Funhouse, Salem's Lot, and Poltergeist. So I liked all those movies, and I thought this was definitely a good movie by him. Definitely a really good horror movie. And they're making a sequel to this, which I look forward to. Oh, another thing I actually forgot is that I liked the killer in this. Like, I thought he was very creepy. So it was a good horror remake. Check it out. And this is a remake to a Alfred Hitchcock classic. But no, it's not the remake of Psycho, because that movie was crap. It's the remake of Rear Window, and I've read a lot of mixed things about this movie, and I could definitely see why there could be some people that hate this movie, because it's a remake to a classic, like I just mentioned, but like modernized. But I liked it, though. I, for one, liked it. It starred Christopher Reeve, who I know as Superman, watched him as Superman when I was a little kid. And I thought he did a pretty good performance in this. It's had like a lot of suspense, like throughout the entire movie, a lot of suspense. And it also had like a pretty good mystery as well. So I actually thought this was a pretty good remake. It was a TV remake for that matter, so I thought it was pretty good. Check it out. And this is another remake that has like a lot of mixed things. People hate it, people like it. But personally, I liked it. It's the remake to the Amityville Horror. Funny thing, there's actually people who thought this remake was better than the original, but I do not think that. However, there's been Amityville movies that were made for TV. I think there was about 5, I think, and those ones were all crap. And this one was better than all those ones, and it was also better than Amityville 3, but not better than the original Amityville or Amityville 2. Not better than that one either. But I actually thought this was a pretty good remake. It was pretty creepy, and starred Ryan Reynolds. Funny thing, normally I see Ryan Reynolds in comedies. This was like, I think the only serious movie I've seen him in. But I thought he did a pretty good job at a serious role for a change instead of a funny role. And he did a pretty good performance when he was going crazy. Like, he actually did believe that he was actually crazy. So, and also, had like a pretty creepy look for the house. Like, all the ghost scenes, the hauntings were actually pretty creepy. pretty well done for a remake. So check this movie out. And another one I chose is the 90s remake of Night of the Living Dead, which was directed by Tom Savini. He's a pretty good horror director. Like, I know there's been some mixed things about it. There's people who don't really care for this one. I know it got bad reviews when it first came out. However, it's now like a cult film. A lot of fans really like this movie, and on Rotten Tomato, people really like this movie. Like, the downfall, in my opinion, was the fact that it was a near shot-for-shot remake. It was like about 95% the same thing, with just some changes, which, the changes in this I thought were pretty good. Like, they changed the Barbara character. Like, in this movie she was tough, while in the original she was emotionally disturbed. And they also changed the entire ending of this one, which was a good thing in my opinion, because I do not like when they use the same endings. Like, that's just not creative, no suspense for that. So this was definitely a pretty good horror remake to a horror classic. And it was also produced by George A. Romero, who directed the original movie. So, this was a pretty decent, pretty good horror remake. I definitely recommend it. Check it out. And to tell you the truth, I'm also a fan of this Night of the Living Dead movie. And I know there's a lot of people who don't really like this movie, probably because of the fact it's a little corny. I'm gonna admit that it was a little corny. And also to tell you the truth, and I'm sure a lot of people are gonna hate me for this, but I actually liked it more than the 90s remake. And like I said, the 90s remake was a near shot-for-shot remake, but this one had a lot of new stuff in it. Like of course it stayed true to like some of the story elements, but it had new stuff in it, new characters, and the fact that it was also 3D, and I'm a sucker for 3D movies, I'm gonna admit. And the 3D was pretty good, and pretty good cast too, like Sid Haig from, what was the movie? A House of a Thousand Corpses and The Devil's Rejects. But the only thing is he has a pitchfork right over here, but he does not use that pitchfork in the movie. He uses a shovel, so he's killing zombies with a shovel, bashing them, stabbing them in the face with a shovel. So, it also had some comedy elements in it too, which was kind of fun. So, well, it was pretty entertaining, pretty fun remake. I actually liked it. Check it out. And this is the third one that's a remake to a George A. Romero classic. It's the remake of The Crazies. I actually saw this at midnight because I'm a big fan of George A. Romero, who also produced this as well. Well, I actually thought this was a pretty good survival movie. I mean, like, when you see like the trailer, you think it's a zombie movie. It's not a zombie movie. It's just these people who've just been poisoned by this toxin that makes them go crazy, and the crazies. So there's turning them into like violent killers, and the way they looked when they were like infected by this toxin looked pretty creepy looking, pretty scary looking. So this movie had a lot of suspense. It was very intense at some points, very intense. So, well, it also had some pretty good visual effects too, so I recommend this one. Check it out. And this one is actually one of my favorite ones of all time, and it's the remake to House on Haunted Hill. I actually thought this was a pretty good horror remake, and had a pretty good cast. Ali Larter, Jeffrey Rush, who actually looked like Vincent Price from the original movie. So, it also had like a appearance from Jeffrey E. Combs, the Reanimator himself, playing a mad doctor. So I actually liked how in this version we had like more backstory to these characters, some pretty good special effects for its time as well. While the original being really good, of course. Original is still one of my favorite ones, but this was definitely a really good remake to the original version. So I 100% recommend this one. Definitely pretty good. And oh, another thing I forgot to say is that it also plays like this mind game with your head. Like, is this house really haunted? So we get a backstory about this house. Is that it was a a mental institute years ago, so we had backstory on the house itself. The house was pretty creepy looking, and so, oh, but like during the ending, it was actually pretty creepy. Like, it shows is this house really haunted or not. I won't spoil it though, because whoever has not seen it will be surprised. So, definitely 100% recommend it. Check it out. And that's about all. Tune in to my next video. Bye.